Hiya guys, welcome back to Wentworth Life, the YouTube channel based all around Wentworth. If you're new to the channel, then hit that subscribe button right now for all future updates, and if you stick around until the end of the video, I will be responding to some of your comments from a previous video. And I would just like to say a quick thank you to all my subscribers, because we recently hit over 12,000 subscribers, which is just outstanding. I never thought I would actually get so many likes and followers, so thank you all for the subs, and let's keep growing this channel together. Okay, so recently I have been doing the top 10 videos for every season of Wentworth. I've recently done this for seasons 4 to 8, and earlier this year I did do top 10 moments for season 1 and 2. So that just leaves season 3, and I think I really have saved the best till last. If you haven't seen all of my other top 10 videos, then I will leave links below this video for each one for you to watch. So once again, get yourself a cup of tea, get yourselves comfy, and let's take a trip down memory lane with the top 10 moments from season 3. Starting us off at number 10 is Open the Door, or Vinegar Tits gets it. So season 3 started off with a bang. This was probably the best opening episode of any Wentworth season. B. Smith had been sent to life in prison with no chance of parole, and B was now top dog with all the respect from all the women. Ferguson didn't like this, and early in the episode she ends up slotting B when Liz is brought back into general. So Liz had been in protection for a small time, and Ferguson knew that Boomer wanted to bash Liz, and this is exactly what happened. So B had a plan, all set with the women, to take over the yard and start a protest. And while this is happening, Vera is searching around the unit and radios through to Ferguson that all the women are in the yard, but not all of them. A few hooded prisoners, they corner Vera and they end up taking her hostage, and they then get her to the area where B is being kept in the slot, and they threaten to inject Vera if Ferguson doesn't let them into the slot. So it's a really tense moment, and the women basically last chance freak, or we will inject her, and literally at this moment the needle is hanging in Vera's neck at this point, and Ferguson, she's literally about to throw Vera to the wolves because she says no, and then Channing steps in and he ends up saving Vera by letting the women go into the slot, and it was a very close call. But saying that, it's revealed later on in the season that poor Vera, she did indeed catch hepatitis C from that needle. Coming in at number 9, we have Joan slaps Vera. So poor Vera this season, not only does she catch hep C, but she ends up taking a massive smack in the face from Joan Ferguson this season. So towards the end of this season, Ferguson was starting to lose it, and B and Fletcher, they end up working together because they want to try and take Ferguson down. They find out about Ferguson's love affair with Gianna, and they end up printing out her photo and decorating the whole of Ferguson's office with Gianna's face. This really unsettles Joan, and she's probably starting to lose it. And when Ferguson goes to check that who was it that went into her office during the night, it comes up as Vera. So Vera ends up taking the fall for this, and Ferguson calls her into the office. And the pair of them, they end up in a very heated exchange, and Vera, she finally grows a backbone and tells Ferguson that she is not fit to be governor. This pushes Joan over the edge, and she ends up smacking Vera in the face, and I mean, it was a really big whack. I'm surprised Vera's head didn't come off her body, but I think she probably definitely got a bit of whiplash from that smack. Brilliant scene. Coming in at number 8, we have Hot Girl in a Hot Car. So one of the best things to come out of season 3 was Bridget and Frankie. These two had amazing chemistry together. Bridget was helping Frankie while Frankie was preparing for her parole hearing, and you could see straight away that these two were getting close. We learn in the season that Bridget is a lesbian, and I just loved the way that put a big smile on Frankie's face. But there were a lot of amazing moments between these two, but I think most of us will always remember Frankie telling Bridget that all she wants is to get out, and waiting for her, all she wants is a really hot girl in a really hot sports car. And that's exactly what happens by the end of season 3, when Frankie finally gets her parole, and as she's walking out of prison, Bridget is there waiting for her in a hot car, and the pair of them finally end up kissing. So despite all the high drama in season 3, it was great to see a happy ending for Frankie and Bridget. Coming in at number 7, Mr. Jackson learns that Frankie killed Meg Jackson. So, this had been a secret from day 1. During the riot way back in season 1, Meg Jackson was stabbed and killed. And we learnt that it was Frankie who did it, but it was genuinely an accident. Basically, in a flashback scene, we see that Meg grabs Frankie during the riot, and Frankie turns around and stabs Meg, thinking that it was probably Jax Holt or one of Jax's crew. So the only person who knew about this was Liz, and in season 2, Liz told B, but nothing ever came of it. So eventually in season 3, Frankie broke down and told Bridget during one of their sessions, but unlucky for Frankie, Ferguson had a tape recorder hiding under the desk, and Ferguson eventually posts it to Will in the form of a USB stick. So when Will plays the recording, his face drops. His face looks like thunder. He looks pretty angry. He storms to his motorbike and drives straight to Wentworth. Now, just after Frankie has finished her meeting with the parole board, Will grabs Frankie and drags her to the corridor, and he confronts her. He tells her to tell him the truth, and she does. She tells him that it was an accident and she didn't mean to do it, but she then tells him, "Go on, hit me, I deserve it." But Will ends up punching the wall instead, and the pair of them, they end up on the floor crying. And nothing ever really happened after this, which is quite strange. Will ended up saying nothing and giving Frankie a chance, which was quite nice of him, but I think if I found out somebody had killed my wife, I don't think I would have let them have, get away with it. But hey ho, that's what happened. In at number 6, we have Juicy Lucy takes a tumble. So later on in the season, Vera finds out who it was who held her hostage and stabbed her with that injected needle, and it was Juicy Lucy. Now, I'm not sure what Vera wanted to do. I think Vera really wanted to make Juicy's life a misery. I mean, Vera isn't a bad person, but she was really pissed off about the Hep C thing. So, when Juicy needed to go to the toilet, but she was currently in a wheelchair at this point, after getting bashed by Maxine and B, Vera offers to wheel her to the toilet, but they end up at the top of the stairs, and Vera threatens to push Juicy down them. Now at this point, Juice admits that she was the one who held the needle to her neck and that it was her blood. And then Juicy then just ends up goading Vera and is daring her to throw her down the stairs. And as much as we can see that Vera really wants to do it, she pulls back. She pulls the wheelchair back, but then Juice ends up elbowing Vera to the floor and she ends up rolling down the stairs there, and Juicy just takes a massive tumble, much to Vera's horror. At the halfway mark now, and the penny finally drops for Vera. So from season 2, Vera had been manipulated by Ferguson, but I think after everything that she goes through in season 3, she knows that there is something not quite right with her boss, Joan Ferguson. So after Jodie stabs herself in the eyeball, Ferguson tries to find out what happened. She ends up finding a broken pencil under Jodie's bed and pops it in an evidence bag. Later on, Bridget warns Vera about Ferguson and tells her to check out a report that she's done against Ferguson that's hidden in Jodie's file. So Vera does just that. She looks at the report and she sees that Bridget has made a report on Ferguson saying that Ferguson has psychopathic tendencies, especially where Jodie Spiteri is concerned. Vera then goes to Ferguson's office during her night shift and looks through the drawers. Eventually, she finds a box of pencils matching the exact one that Jodie used to stab herself. and one of those pencils is missing. The penny finally drops for Vera in this moment, and it drops for her. She's indeed working for a psychopath. It was a great moment in the season, and it was the start of a proper game change for our favourite Vera Bennett. Coming in at number 4, we have Joan's Goldfish breakdown. So season 3 episode 8, titled Goldfish, was just an epic episode, and to be fair, I could probably do a whole video just about this episode, but to keep it short and sweet, basically we learn a bit more about Ferguson's past in this episode, mainly about Gianna. Ferguson's mask seems to start slipping off during this episode, and she even starts calling Doreen Gianna at some point. What is going on in Joan's head? But we learn at the start of this episode that Ferguson has a pet goldfish, and at the start of the episode the goldfish dies and Joan ends up flushing it down the toilet. She then orders a new goldfish. So what is with Ferguson's obsession with goldfish? Well, later on, Doreen goes into labour just after Ferguson tries to kiss her, and Joan ends up helping to deliver the baby, and all is well. But later on, when Bea visits Doreen and the baby, Joan overhears them slagging her off basically and calling her a freak. So Joan storms off, and when she gets home, she completely loses it. Her perfect show home becomes a war zone because she starts smashing everything up, including the goldfish bowl. Ferguson's home is usually neat and tidy, but she ends up smashing everything and throwing all the knives and forks all over the place, and all of a sudden we hear a voice, and it's Ferguson's father. She ends up breaking down in his arms onto the floor, telling him that she is a freak, but her dad is telling her, "You are not a freak." It's a powerful moment because up until this point, Ferguson, she was always in charge of her own mind. She normally knows how to stay in control, and it's quite a sad story because I think to this day we still don't know what has gone on in Ferguson's life, but it's safe to say she hasn't had the best upbringing. I mean, nobody is born a monster, are they? So I think personally she's a lonely soul, and I hope we finally get to learn everything in the final season next year. And at number 3 we have Bea punishes Boomer. Now I know we all love Boomer, but Boomer had to learn a really hard lesson in season 3 episode 2. Bea had told Boomer and all of the women to keep their hands off Liz, but Boomer disobeyed Bea and ended up bashing Liz. So later on, Bea calls all the women to the laundry and tells them that she will look after all of them. Literally, she will do anything for them, but if any of them fuck her around, well. This leads us on to this brutal moment where Maxine and some of the girls, they drag Boomer to the steam press, and Bea tells them to put both of Boomer's hands in. Frankie tries to do something, but to be fair, she is outnumbered. Bea then tells Boomer that "You went against me, Boomer. You disobeyed me, Boomer," and Boomer tries to ask Frankie for help, but there's nothing that can be done. Bea then pulls down the steam press onto Boomer's hands, and Boomer starts to scream horrifically, and Bea keeps that steam press on her hands for quite some time, and when she finally lifts it up, Boomer's hands are all burnt and they're all bubbly and it's all ugh. It was a very high tense moment in the show where Bea had to show her authority, otherwise people would keep disobeying her, so she had to do it. And even though it was a very painful experience for Boomer, eventually Boomer did become Team Bea. Just missing out of the top spot at number 2, we have the Great Wentworth Fire. So after such an explosive season, the writers decided to end the show with another bang. Ferguson had pretty much lost it by this point, and the walls were caving in on her. At the same time, creepy Jess Warner, she ends up kidnapping baby Joshua from the mother and baby unit and takes him to some sort of basement in the prison, which I think is near the kitchen. Anyway, the prison then goes into full panic, and Ferguson orders a lockdown while they search for baby Joshua. Jess is then about to suffocate baby Joshua by smothering him, and she starts to do this, but then Ferguson walks in just in the nick of time. Ferguson then puts on her black leather gloves and tells Jess to put the baby down. Ferguson then grabs Jess by the neck and she strangles her to death before throwing her onto the floor, and Ferguson then has a little bit of a dilemma and a dead body on her hands and she decides to cover Jess's body up with a load of cardboard and sets fire to her. Anyway, Ferguson then grabs baby Joshua and walks out, but then the fire that Joan has started has caused an electrical failure. So Ferguson and baby Joshua, they're stuck in the basement and they're stuck behind a locked gate. Ferguson tries to get help, but the fire is quickly starting to spread. The prison is then evacuated and Bea and Frankie make a run for it to try and find baby Joshua. They split up and Bea finds Ferguson trapped by the fire with Joshua, and the gate is eventually opened, but then a massive explosion blows through the prison. Things just end up getting even more crazy then. I mean, Frankie comes to Bea's rescue, tells Bea to get Joshua out, but then Frankie is trapped, and then Mr. Jackson ends up trying to save them all, and it's just total carnage. Eventually, Bea gets Frankie out and Will saves Ferguson. And when Ferguson is brought out of the burning building, Bea delivers that great line to her: "If you rule through chaos, you reap what you sow." And Ferguson is taken away by the police. An absolutely amazing moment. And coming in at number 1 now, this is what we have. You don't run this prison, I do. Now this is just the most brilliant moment of all time from Wentworth. Bea was finally top dog and battle lines were drawn. So earlier on I talked about Vera being taken hostage. Well, Bea is eventually broken out of the slot and Ferguson is then called to the yard where all the women are. And when Ferguson sees Bea standing there with all the women, even Ferguson's mouth drops. So Ferguson then goes into the yard and she goes head to head with Bea, with all the women chanting Bea. And then Bea tells Ferguson what she wants, and she also tells Ferguson that if there's going to be any more changes to the prison, you have to run and pass by me first. And then Bea delivers the famous line: "You don't run this prison, I do." You should see Ferguson's face. This is literally the moment when Ferguson realises that she has just created a monster with Bea Smith after she tried to control her back in season 2. And I mean, Ferguson thought that she was going to be able to control the whole prison because, to be fair, that's what she's used to, being in control. So after Bea stands up to Ferguson in such a public way, you can see that Ferguson is proper humiliated, and she just stands there in the yard while all the women walk back to their units with the fire burning. It's one of those oh my god moments. This is the best show ever. And guys, that was the top 10 moments from season 3. So what did you guys think of my list? Did you enjoy the little trip down memory lane? What was your favourite moment from season 3? I know it will be really hard to choose because season 3 is up there as one of the best seasons ever, as well as season 7 in my opinion. But let me know your thoughts in the comments box below. And on that note, yes, you guessed it, it's now time for some comment replies. So we have Blood Drive Gamer. You should do a continuation of your season 8 theories videos. Thank you. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do another full 5-parter like I did last year, but I am going to be making a video very soon of what I think is going to happen in season 9. So stay tuned for that one. Thank you for your comment. And we have Aretha Franklin Whitney Houston. I agree with your favourite moment. It was intense watching Bea and Joan in the prison yard. It was a shock when Ali opened her eyes as we all thought she was dead. It really, really was, guy. I'm telling you now, I will never be able to get over this moment where Bea dies. I kind of wish they kept Bea in for one more season. I mean, she hit rock bottom by the end of season 4, but it would have been nice to see her rise back to the top just before being killed off. I wanted to see more of Bea and Ali, but hey ho, we got what we got. So thank you for your comment. And we have Danielle Warad. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, Danielle. This season, to be fair, was the one that got me into Wentworth on demand 5 years ago, before it was popular on the X360 box app. There's a particular episode called Screw Lover that I find so clever, where Bea had to beat up Mr. Jackson, but that scene cut of Bea's face before she's taken to the slot spoke to me SM. She's mentally, emotionally tired, but she still keeps going, and that is something to be admirable. I never hardly ever comment, but please make the same video for previous seasons. Well, yes, Danielle, your wish is my command. So I have done top 10 videos for each and every season, and I will leave a link for each video beneath the comments box below. And thank you for commenting, Danielle. And we have Macy Volota. Apologies again if I'm pronouncing any of these names wrong. I would just like to start off by saying that you do a phenomenal job of recapping each episode's season. Please don't ever stop the videos, but I absolutely love the theory, and I think something that would have made Wentworth much more interesting in Season 8 is Mari being pregnant. Just imagine what Will, Vera and the women would have said or done. The possibilities could have been endless. Thank you for your comment, Macy. Yes, it would have been interesting for Mari to become pregnant. I know a lot of people commented saying that she was far too old, but really? I know people. I've seen people on TV, guys. There are a lot of older women having children these days. So it could have been a possibility, but the writers decided not to go down that route. Instead, they've got Mari and Reb's relationship going on at the moment. But yeah, I mean, there was so many things they could have done for Season 8, but hey ho, we got what we got. Thank you for your comment. And thank you all again for your amazing comments. Keep them all coming. So that's all of the top 10 moments done for every season so far. If you've missed any of them, then I will leave links in the description box to each video below this video. Or alternatively, if you go into our YouTube channel, you will see a playlist called Wentworth Top 10, and you will find all Wentworth Top 10 videos in that playlist. So I will be back very soon, guys, with what I think is to come for Season 9 next year, or Season 8 Part 2. I don't know what it's going to be called yet, but I'm going to call it Season 9 for the moment. So make sure you have hit that subscribe button, because you will not want to miss it. So thank you all for watching, guys. Take care, and I will see you all again very soon.